Hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carla. I'm Dr. Carla. This is Christine, and we're really glad that you're here with us today. Our goal today is to talk about some mental health related topics and hopefully start to end that stigma that seems to be hanging out way too long. Work on ending that and getting rid of that. So, today we're going to talk about work life balance. And, you know, I guess I'm curious when you hear that term, how do you define work life balance?
Oh, okay. So for me, work-life balance is really trying to figure out sometimes it's trying to figure out how to get it all in one day, and other times it's really more about how to thrive in getting it all in one day. And I strive for that other side, the trying part of things. Because I feel like a lot of times we try to get all this stuff done and we get it done, but at the end of the day, you're exhausted, you're depleted, and there is no balance.
And what do you think the biggest obstacle maybe is to, I almost said achieving it because I don't know that that's fair, but like what's the biggest obstacle in even trying to get close to achieving it?
I think right now for most people, one of the biggest obstacles is working from home. I think a lot of us, when we came home in the pandemic, thought that it was going to make that easier because now you don't have to drive, you get to be at home, you get to just sit at your computer and make it easy. But we didn't realize was that when you went somewhere to work, you had time that you were supposed to work and time that you were not supposed to work. And even people that stayed the extra time and did a bunch of overtime at the office, you could still recognize, well, I'm still here at the office. I'm still in my working mode, and I should be at least going home. It's been 10
And
hours.
when you get in the car or hop on the
Hmm.
train or walk home, whatever your mode of transportation is, right? There's that break between that allows you to at least begin to separate
Yes.
what you left and what you're going to go into.
Yes, to shift some transition time, to shift in your head that you're going to be leaving the work mode or leaving the home mode and moving into the other one. And now we've just completely lost that with a lot of people working from home.
Yeah, and it used to be the rare thing to find a work at home
Hmm.
situation, and now people realize, wait, we didn't need the brick and mortar during the shutdown.
Right,
Why would I waste my money? We can all end up just going home and doing it from there,
right.
right? So obviously, it's a striving towards like
Yeah.
so. Like I'll recognize and honor that. What are some of the things that you've tried to do to achieve this
Yeah.
more balanced way?
So one of the things is exactly what you talked about. It's creating a new routine, right? So we don't have the drive into the office anymore. We don't have that normal piece of things, the commute, whatever it is, the train ride or anything like that to signal those transitions, but you can synthesize that. So I worked with somebody who actually did their normal morning routine and would actually get in the car and drive around the block in the morning. They'd get ready, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. Having anything that means to you, this is my start of my day and this is my end of my day,
Right.
can be helpful. So for me, I still make sure that I get up and get dressed. That was a big one in the pandemic to get over. At first, everybody lived in leggings and I had to get up and get dressed, brush my teeth. And then in the nice weather, I'll go for a walk at the beginning of my day to leave the house and then come back as if I'm coming into my workspace. Um,
Okay.
and kind of do that reset. And I do the same thing at the end of my day as well, so that I can reset and be back in here. I'm coming into a new thing. It's a new time of my day. It's a new time to focus on new things instead of staying in the same spot.
Yeah, I've worked with some of my clients on that as well, where there's particular issues around, being okay with shutting the laptop down because it's 5 o'clock,
Yes.
right? And so, um, we talked about like how can you physically leave the house or make like some sort of, physical transition. And most of them ended up picking some form of like getting in the car,
Hmm.
going for a ride. I have one that she's like, well, I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to crank up the music as loud as I can because that's what I used to do, for 40 minutes coming home. Like, okay, I won't take 40 minutes, but like maybe I
Right.
could take 15, right? And I would just do a wandering around driving. Okay, if that works for you, right? But a lot of people think, well, that's just so weird. But at the end of the day, if it works, who cares?
Right. We've had some colder weather where that has not been feasible for me, or I just didn't want to do it. And that was a barrier. And I did find I couldn't end my day in my head then. And so then went through the routine of actually shutting down my laptop and closing it and putting it in a drawer, because that act is a little more than, you can just in anger after a meeting or something, you can slap that
Yeah,
closed.
right.
But putting it in a drawer was like, this is done now. I've closed it, I've shut it down. And then I also think a big piece of it is we know that with most jobs now, it's not just the computer that you're tied to, it's all those other things. So I have timers on all the apps that I use for work that kind of shut it down when my work day is over and I don't get the push notifications. I could still pop into an email if there was a situation that I was handling or something like that, and out of the ordinary extreme circumstances, I have the access to it, but I'm not going to get bombarded with all of those little pings of people reaching out. And they know that I've set that boundary at work too, that at this time I'm going to be done now.
And how do you feel like it's been received?
Really, I think it's been going well at my company. I have the advantage of being a trainer and working with people in that space on helping get themselves some balance as well. And so this
Okay.
is something that we talk about because we're really encouraging that for employees. Because as a company, my company is very well aware that employees that can't turn off burn out. And burnt out employees can't give you good product. You can't
Exactly.
do a good job if you're burnt out. So they want us to be able to shut down. They encourage us to take time off and everything like that. So it has been received pretty well. It's a little bit of an adjustment for people if they're used to being able to reach you 24/7. But I think when the
But that was never healthy.
never,
Right.
never
Yeah.
healthy.
Right.
No, not for
Right.
anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about your family?
Family that
So like we
has,
talked about how to manage the work part about it, but
right,
like you've got a family, so then
right.
and you're
So
physically there, so
and I have a young child, and so that becomes difficult as well. So making those spaces for myself that like this is my workspace. I'm going to go here when I'm working and this is the time that I'm going to be doing that is very helpful too. I think it's also like kind of deciding that this is how I'm going to work this. So I give myself a break in the middle of the day for lunch. And in that time, I can do a couple of house things. I can throw in the laundry or something like that. But in other times of the day, if I have a break, I'm not going to spend it doing my house things because I'm in work time. So it
okay.
helps because it makes it so that there's not that back and forth with the family either of me being in their space or disrupting the flow of things. This is my work time. This is my kind of family time.
Yeah, but lunch you could justify saying, "Hey, I went home for lunch."
Right.
So it's a longer period of time than say, a 15-minute potty
Right.
break.
Right. And so then when I do have that like gap in meetings or a 20-minute gap at work, I use that like I would at work where, you give yourself the time to be bored and in front of the tools that you're using and you can come up with something new, but your head stays in that workspace mode as opposed to the dishes or the laundry or even building a cool train track.
Right, 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 and some days building that cool train track is far more um uh exciting, or desirable
Yeah.
than whatever's on the work docket. Right.
Right. But I've personally found that if I do really separate those two things, I can be there for those two things more instead of having the time that I'm sitting with my daughter and playing with her, where I'm also thinking about the 15 projects that I was supposed to be working on. I'm if I separate it, I know that I've spent my project time and now I can be here and not have to worry about those things because I gave my 100% to my job when I was in job time, and now I can give 100% to my kid and my family in my family time.
Right. So when you think about it, somebody is, you know, either just new to working from home, right?
Hmm.
Or maybe has been going at it for a while and has realized that they've burnt out or whatever, but they need to make some sort of adjustment. Um, how might you, what's the one thing you would say, like, if, to get started, start by doing just this, what?
I think creating a routine for yourself is like the first thing because that is really a setting a start and an end, and it should be accepted in most workplaces, even if they're not super friendly with the idea that we don't want employees to burn out. I think the other one I'm going to add in another one
Go
But
for
I
it.
think the other one is using your calendar to your advantage. So blocking off time for yourself for specific work tasks and specific family tasks and having some sort of reminder or calendar thing come up to tell you like this is the time, just like a school bell tells you to move from one class to the next,
Yep.
using a calendar to help you with that so that you're not all on your own. You have a reminder and technology is actually helping you with things
Yeah. No,
in the
that's
day.
that is great. Thank you so much. So remember, you can change your thoughts, discover your potential, and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being. So until next time, continue working on being the best you possible. Bye.